Sure.
Sairam, everyone. So, as ever, welcome again to another session of My Sai and I. Each of these sessions have been pretty, in one sense, uplifting, eye-opening, because you can see the different lenses through which each of these YAs relate to their Sai through their own unique way. As ever, the relationship between Bhagwan and a devotee is very unique and very personal, and the lenses through which that they perceive, understand the Sai principle in their lives is always unique. And so, in that vein, we continue this week as well. We have actually three speakers. Brother Ritwik, unfortunately, can't join today, but we have Sister Komal, we have Sister Parvathy Balaji, as well as Brother Jagannath Ramesh. So Komal is from the Houston Sai Center. Brother Jagannath is from the Dallas Sai Center, and Sister Parvathy is from the Austin Sai Center. I think the way we'll begin is each of them can give a small introduction about themselves and then get into it. And the sequence that we'll kind of follow today is we'll begin with Sister Parvathy, and then we'll go to Brother Ramesh, and then finish up with Komal, if that's fine. I just want to quickly double check that none of you have any sort of time constraints that you guys need to leave by. If we need to rejig the order, that's fine too. But if not, I think this is the order that we'll follow. We'll begin with Sister Parvathy, go on Brother Ramesh, and then finish up with Komal. With that being said, Sister Parvathy, do you want to begin? Sairam.
So is this sequence for the introduction, or you meant for the sharing?
The sharing as well. Yeah, you can introduce yourself and then go ahead with the sharing.
Okay, Sairam. To one and all. I'm Parvathy Balaji, and I'm just a fellow pilgrim and a seeker like you all in our journey, where we try to reflect and embed all of Sai values to the best extent possible. I joined Anantapur campus in the year 2006, and then I pursued my master's degree in biotechnology, bachelor's degree in education, and I studied there for 6 years. And I was also, by Swami's grace, a member of the university brass band. I was a sousaphone player. And that's just a brief introduction about how maybe the journey began, with so many steps that led me to the path of intensifying my bond with Sai. So the theme of my talk, which when I just came back from work, I just came back from school 20 minutes ago, and I held this picture of Swami, and then I asked Saima, I don't know what, you have to maybe help me come up with some instances that you want me to share today. And immediately when I closed my eyes for 3 minutes and I asked Swami to guide me, the thoughts that flooded my mind were to curate my talk around the theme, intensifying the bond with Sai, because that again aligns with the theme, My Sai and I. And I wanted to talk about some experiences which led me to the realization that the bond with God is the only true bond which is complete, which is eternal, and which is filled with the effulgent love, and the only bond which is non-judgmental and selfless. So my journey with Swami began from my association with Saima began from the time I was in my mother's womb. I was fortunate to be born in a Sai family. We lived in Chennai, very close to Sundaram. And my mother narrates to me even now the bhajans that she used to regularly listen on Thursdays when she used to go by walk all through her gestational period while I was in her womb. And my brother Sanjeev Padmanabhan also studied in Swami's University. He passed out of Brindavan campus, and he also did his high school there. So I was a Balvika student as well in Abhirampuram Samiti. So all these beautiful moments are unforgettable. Um, at one point when I reached this teenage phase, I felt like I didn't have a true friend when I was maybe in 10th or 11th grade. And all the more was the reason was because some friends started avoiding me because I was the teacher's daughter. And my mom was in the same school. She was a geography teacher in Vidya Mandir in Mylapore in Chennai. And all my friends would kind of the so-called friends whom I wanted to be friends with used to desert me because they felt if they were close to me, all the news and pranks that they were into would reach the teacher's ears. So it was all, so I used to always be in this mode, end of the week, like whine around, okay, I'm a good student, I'm a Balvika student, but nobody's my friend. What do I do? And then my grandpa used to always accompany me, and we used to go for regular walks to Sundaram or the Shirdi Baba temple um, close to Mandavali. Even now it's very famous, and it's many years old, and it attracts a lot of pilgrims from all across the world. So one day I cycled to this temple, and then when I went close to Shirdi Baba statue, the marble statue, I touched the feet or the padam of Shirdi Baba statue, and then I held my head onto that padukas, and then I was telling that marble statue as if it was really me talking to Shirdi Baba. Okay, I'm touching your feet right now, but when is that moment really going to come where I really touch your feet? Because I know Shirdi Sai and Satya Sai is all one and the same to me. So I was talking to Shirdi Baba, but internalizing my conversation with Saima. And then I was angrily looking at the eyes of Shirdi Baba and saying, at least tell me when you will become my friend. So in Panks of Agani, I said that, and that was one instant. And I'll tell you how this instance that happened in 2004 became real in the year 2009 when I got Padanamaskar from Swami. And the reason why I'm saying that is not the external experience of a Padanamaskar as a student, but how heaven hears every whisper and how no prayer ever goes unanswered if it's strong enough to melt the heart of God, like how you need heat to melt butter. So this instance happened, and I'm still keeping this in the parking lot. In the year 2006, I wrote PMPD exam, and I was so keen to get into the medical field because I wanted to avoid maths, and I just hated maths. And I felt probably taking up biology specialization will help me achieve my dream. And then I even went to Kerala through the nativity certificate, and then gave some exams in Kerala as well and Chennai. And I was awaiting the results. Meanwhile, I also wrote the entrance exam to get into Anantapur campus, but I was in a real dilemma. In my heart, I felt like it would be nice to become a Sai student, but I also didn't want to give up my dreams. So it so happened, it was just 2 days apart. The results of the Anantapur campus entrance exams came first, and the next day, it was the medical entrance exam results. But I never knew this would happen. So because one day before the Anantapur campus entrance exam results came, Swami came in my dream, and that was my first ever dream with Swami. And since then, throughout my 6 years of my student life, Swami has come in my dream over 187 times. And some dreams are so personal that I don't know if it's good enough to, I don't know if I can really share that, because it's some dreams are so personal, but I try to culminate and bring out the essence of what that message was. And how I could reflect on those and apply those. So 2006, one day before, that is May 26th, 2006 was when I got this first dream with Swami. I was going around the Ganesh Mandir and Swami was with me. I was walking with Swami and he was holding my hand. And then after 3 rounds around Ganesh Mandir, he looked at me and he asked me, do you want to become my student? And then in my dream, I'm looking at Swami, and I've never thought along these philosophical lines at that point as a 12th grader. And I told Swami, yes, I want to be your student, but then I feel now to do service, I don't really have to be a doctor. If I'm a doctor, maybe I can do service, but then I feel I want to become your lifetime student, Swami. And then Swami showed his hands and then asked me, promise? And then I'm keeping my hand on his hand. And then I said, yes, Swami, promise. So the next day, early morning, I told this dream to my grandpa and my mom. And then my grandpa said, see, you have promised, Swami. Now, no matter whether you're selected or not for the medical counseling, if you promise, Swami, I think that's what we all should do. And we will support you to pursue that course. And so the results came, and then I got a seat in Anantapur campus. And the next day, I get the results that I'm eligible for the medical counseling. And I was supposed to attend counseling to get enrolled in a medical college in Kerala. But then I had no regrets about this because the path was clear. And then Swami had very clearly given that message. So I became his student. And then from the year 2006, there were so many small dreams that happened where Swami used to consistently reinforce the fact that he is. That's why I look at Swami as Sai Ma. People say be a God-fearing person. But for me, Swami symbolizes love. And love is that love of a supreme mother. And there were so many ways by which he made me realize that the very first night after attending bhajans, that was the day our rooms were allocated in the Anantapur campus, and our warden gave a speech. That was when Mrs. Jema ma'am was there, Mrs. Jayalakshmi Gopinath, and our warden Pushpa madam. So they said, every brick here in this hostel resonates Swami's name. Maybe now you're all far away from home, but remember, your journey here is going to really take you to another dimension where you're going to build your spiritual journey and intensify your bond with God. We listened to all of that, and then we said Om Shanti Shanti 3 times, and then we had dinner. Everybody went home. Everybody was about to sleep, but then I started crying and crying and crying to myself. Tears rolled down from my eyes. I hugged my pillow tight, and then I was telling Swami, look how far away you brought me from my mother. Now I'm going to get used to all Sattvic food. Nobody's going to give me pizza, lassi, samosa, all the, I used to go to summer vacations to Calcutta because my cousins were there. Now I miss all that mishti doi and rasgulla and look, I'm going to eat all Sattvic and bland food now. And I'm so angry with you, Swami. I'm going to miss all the food that I love. So I was missing home and I was missing food. And then I slept. So that was my second dream with Swami. That same night he came and then he gave me a key. He said, take this key. Now go to that room and then open the key. And then there was an imaginary room. I don't know where that room exists, but it was close to my college. So I walk along the college garden premises, and so the key that Swami gave, I opened that room, and from the floor to the ceiling, it was filled with all the food items that I wanted. And then he said, here, take. And then I'm eating, and then I told Swami, did I do something wrong? Maybe you're God, and then I'm asking you something too trivial. I'm sorry if I made some mistake. And then Swami said, no, whom else will you ask? I am your true mother. And then he gave me a pat on my shoulder. So to this extent, I felt Saima had reached out, and it's beautiful how the deepest of your secrets and the deepest of your thoughts, which you would not even share with anyone else, Swami knows. And another instant was when we used to have monthly phone call chances. And I was a terrible homesick daughter. So we used to get just 3 minutes of phone call chance, and then we used to write letters home. So once my mother told me, I really wish you were around, because I know if you were around, you would have helped me with some household chores and cooked. I'm having terrible heel pain. I don't know what to do. So after that phone call chance, I again thought to myself, and then I was telling Swami, see, I'm so far away. If I was at home, I would have helped my mother. I don't know what to do, Swami. Somehow reduce her heel pain. And then I slept. And Swami came in that dream, and then he said, there is lemongrass oil in under the puja room shelf. Tell Amma to open that shelf and take that lemongrass oil and then apply on her feet, and I'm sure her heel pain will go. And then I wrote this in a postcard, and then that letter reached her in 3 days. And then she started doing that. And then the next month, when during my phone call chance, she tells me, it's miraculous how even I forgot, everybody in the family forgot where that lemongrass oil was. We bought that long ago in Ooty, and I don't know how Swami knew where it was, because it was right under the puja room, under Swami's photo. And you won't believe it, I didn't need homeopathy medication or allopathic medication. Within 9 days, my heel pain had gone completely. And I think it was, she told me it was actually something like a bone spur, which completely got cured. And I just made some notes about the transition of experiences when I'm talking to you all. So yeah, I wanted to touch upon this, that heaven hears every whisper. The next thing I learned during my student phase in Swami's university is unity, purity, divinity. So it was a tradition every year, during the band performance or before the outgoing batch gets the interview, the whole campus unites and makes cards for Swami. So once we all came up with this theme that we all should make a beautiful flower. It should have like something like a garden, symbolizing that we're all children in the garden of Sai, and that we're all flowers. So we wanted to make something like 108 flowers. And then the seniors told us, now imagine that every petal in that, each of us are going to make one flower, and imagine every petal is going to be a bad quality that you're removing from yourself and offering to Swami. And then and then when we offer it, we're going to pray to Swami that all of our bad qualities are now transformed by his love, and then all that's left inside is maybe it's like saying, Swami, we are your instruments and you are breathing through us. So if you are emptying yourself as Swami's instrument and you're going to offer all your evil qualities to Swami, the only thing that's now left is what Swami wants you to be. So don't even choose what good qualities you want. Let him decide that. So with so much of devotion, the whole campus did this. So there was unity, and then there was purity, because we did this with purity of heart. And the day this was presented to Swami, with both his hands, he took it and blessed it. And instead of giving it back or sending it back, some cards are given back to us and we keep it in the campus altar. Swami gave those to the farm boys, and then it's even now, it's inside his residence, inside Yajur Mandir. So that made all of us understand how every unified effort resonates with that divinity, because it's no more about yourself and what you want. Rather, it's a unified effort, like something like teamwork, and also the way Sai centers function, because there's nothing like hierarchy there. We all want to function as pilgrimage in the path towards God, and we help out each other and we help others in the spirit of service. The next aspect, the next learning that I really understood, and even now Swami reminds me that over and over again, is Swami Sankalpa is Vajra Sankalpa. His will always prevails. In the year 2006 was when I completed my bachelor's degree, and then Swami came in the dream and said, you will continue to do masters here after bachelor's. And then out of 32, 8 of us were selected to return for the master's degree, and the rest had to leave the university and apply elsewhere. Now, after master's degree got over, my father was ready to even apply for student loans. And he asked me, do you want to study in UK or Singapore? Because you have broader scope there if you want to pursue in the line of biotechnology. But then my mother was a teacher, and my auntie was a teacher. We had so many teachers and doctors in the family, in the ancestry. So I also felt like I want to follow the footsteps of my mother, because I have always looked at her as a role model. She's also been my Balvika's guru. And that night when this dilemma was there in my family, Swami again came in my dream. And then he said, come back for B.Ed. You will not survive the outside world. At this point, you have to become a student again in Anantapur campus, come back for B.Ed course, enroll for the B.Ed course, and then you will spread my message abroad and you will become a teacher in another country. He said that in my dream in 2000, yeah, master's degree. So around 2010 or this happened. And now we are in 2021. 11 years later, this dream became true. And it was now this year that I got a full-time job in Meridian World School in Round Rock. And I'm teaching high school chemistry, environmental systems for grade 11 and grade 12. But ever since we moved to US, I've lived in California, Colorado, and Washington. All along, I felt like I was never ready, despite all the cultural differences and maybe difference in classroom teaching practices. Even though I had a teacher's degree and I worked, passed many state exams and got a teaching license here, I felt like I was just not ready, because let my career wait, let me take baby steps. And then I became a Montessori instructor in the same preschool where my daughter was. Now she's in second grade and she's 8 years old. Her name is Sai Sahana. And later, when Sai Sahana had to join kindergarten, I became a para-educator in that same school. And then I became a long-term substitute when I moved to Washington State from Colorado. And at that point, when I worked in Tesla STEM High School, it was like a turning point where, again, Swami came in my dream and said, the time has come. And I don't know what he meant. The time has come. And now, when I look along that path, one thing led to the other, and then gave me that exposure of how schooling happens inside the district, how we have to accustom ourselves and acclimatize towards, despite cultural differences, how to handle students, how to handle admins and staff and strike that balance. All of that was a learning experience. And I felt at this point, when the offer letter came, I was in tears. And I scanned that, and then I sent it to my principal and my parents. And I said, look how Swami's words are coming true now. When there have been so many stressful moments where I've even felt like maybe it's time I change my stream of career. Maybe I'm really not good enough to be a teacher in US. It just turned inside out. And then I felt it just, things and situations just turned its course. And so life situations are like a big jigsaw puzzle. In the end, everything makes sense and the pieces so perfectly fit together. And another point I wanted to talk about was Swami's omnipresence. In the year 2009, I was the band group captain. I was the captain of Satya House in culturals in the Anantapur campus. And I got selected to go and show Swami during Shankranti, right after the sports ceremony. We wanted to show Swami all the prizes that our house had got during the annual prize distribution ceremony. So that was when I went closer to Swami with all the prizes and medals that all the team members and other girls in the campus had got. Swami looked at me, and then I looked at Swami, and this moment came back in 2009. In 2004, when I looked at Shirdi Baba's photo and I held his feet, and I said, Swami, when am I really going to touch your feet? In 2009, when Swami looked at me, my thoughts were blank. But then his eyes reminded me of this instance and this strong yearning. And then I looked at Swami and I said, Saima, can I, he blessed all the prizes, and then I kept the tray by the side. And then I asked Saima, can I please take Pada Namaskar? I just spoke in English to him. And then Swami said, Tisko, 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 3 times, meaning yes, yes, yes. And then I placed my forehead on Swami's tender feet and then touched his toes and then took Pada Namaskar. And then that was such an experience which really changed me and my thoughts and my faith. And at that point, when I was returning back, I felt this was the answer that I was seeking, that the only true bond, which is true in the world, when maybe we feel like in the ocean of Maya, we are lashed left and right. The only savior is Swami, because he is our true friend and a mother. Maybe we can label our bond with Swami with different relation, but that's the bond that never judges us, never maybe transforms us with love, but never judges us. And maybe we may forget, and like a spring that winds inside, sometimes we may decompress and move outward, and we may stray and move away from the path. But then over and over again, if we take 1 step towards Swami, he takes 100 steps towards us. And that is something I realized. And many a times when I've made mistakes, and when I have felt maybe I'm not good enough to call myself a Sai devotee, I used to, again, towards the end of the day, come back with the same thought, no, Swami understands me. And I think I have to show Swami how much I love him. So that was something I wanted to share. In the end, I just want to end with this beautiful experience that our warden Pushpa ma'am told us. Once Swami went to the kitchen while students were eating, and then he saw the cook who was making puris. And then Swami said, bring the puris out. And then there were some trays with 50 or 60 puris that were supposed to be distributed to the students for lunch. Swami took 1 puri and then gave it to one of the teacher's hands. And then Swami said, tear it, make it into small pieces, open, and let's see what's inside. And then that teacher took the puri from Swami's hand. And then when it was opened, there was Purnam inside. It was just made with wheat flour, but how did the Purnam come inside? No one knew. It was just a regular puri, but then it was stuffed with Purnam. So Swami said, once you're with Swami, your life becomes like Purnam. And so I want to end my talk with this thought that even to think of God, we need God's grace. And when we say yes to Swami, it indirectly means we're saying no to everything else that does not matter. We're saying no and making a conscious choice, even though it may be hard, to isolate ourselves from everything which may be transient. But when we say yes to Swami, it might seem like we are not finding like-minded people, except from the ones in Sai Center in many walks of life. But that's what really matters. As long as we are in association with Swami, all of our lives are filled with sweetness, just the way that puri that Swami made the teacher open was filled with Purnam. Thank you once again. I just pray that Swami holds our hand and leads us on in every endeavor of our life. Thank you, Sairam.
Oh, that was beautiful, Sister Parvathy. I mean, just so many dreams. What, 187 dreams you said? It's just like incredible how much Swami talks to you. And you know what, almost something that really stuck with me is how much you actually recognize his presence, and he makes his presence felt in your life. Like you said, I mean, even the fact that we have the ability to recognize his presence is his blessing. And I'm overjoyed by the kind of recognition that you have of what role Swami plays in your life, and a certain remembrance. They say in gratitude, there are 3 R's: recognition first, remembrance second, and the final one, which we sometimes forget, even if we imbibe the first 2, is reciprocation. So I'm almost curious to I feel like this is your chance to reciprocate all that love and all that wisdom and all that joy that you have through, through the fact that you have had that acquaintance with Swami in the lives of your students in the current role that you're in. I think that's why Swami's ordained you and said, now is your time. And he's instilled you where you are. We are so grateful that, you have arrived in Region 10, and just to have you and just to hear you was such a joy. I'll be honest, I loved it. I loved every second of it. If others have any thoughts, any questions, feel free to pose it as well. Sairam, can I open the floor?
Hey, Sairam Parvathy, this is Ravi uncle. It was really captivating and riveting the way you spoke. And I think I wasn't sure how you could keep count of the dreams that you had. The one thing that I always felt was dream is not what we see in sleep, but you did not sleep until you get what you saw in the sleep, in the dream. That's the thing that I was. And one other thing that I felt was you always had a DDD, I think, to Swami. It's divine direct dialing. So you said you contact Swami and he will be there all the time. And you had one person to contact, that is Swami, who's all in one. I think you treated him as a mother who wipes away your tear, and your father who dispels his fear. And of course, he can always confide, being his teacher. And I think your faith is something that I really admired. The most important thing I learned was you should trust Swami, knowing that he has the best interest in you. Thanks a lot. Sairam.
Sairam, brother. Thank you. And all of your thoughts are filling my eyes with tears. I really have so much to learn from you all.
No. Honestly, I mean, it's a joy that you're a part of us right now, and we are lucky that Swami has chosen to plant you in our region. So we're very excited. Hopefully, this is the first of many more sharings from you, sister. So if others don't have any questions for Sister Parvathy, we can move on to Brother Jagannath. I think, Brother Jagannath, I think the floor is all yours. You can begin with a small introduction about yourself and then take it away. Sairam.
Sairam, everyone. Loving pranams. So I'll just start off with my background. So I was fortunate again to be born in Swami's fold. My grandparents were Swami devotees. They did a lot of service to Swami in his presence, got his Pada Namaskar. Today, when I was actually going to talk about my experiences, I was thinking and then talking to Swami, and then I was actually getting thoughts that what should I speak? People usually speak about their experiences. And for me, personally, I don't have much experiences with Swami. So then while thinking, so Swami was like, why do you want to talk about experience? Just talk about the life, how you have been with me, and how he has always shown his presence in my life. So the entire talk that I am going to talk is more about my journey with Swami and how he has shown his presence even when we as a devotee forget him. So that's the theme. So I did my bachelor's in computer science back in India from Mumbai University, and then I came here for master's in 2012 for master's in information systems in University of Maryland, Baltimore. And then I moved on to Kansas City, where I worked for 6 years. And then now I'm in Dallas for 6 months now, almost 6 months. So that's my journey as a career. So during my childhood days, my grandpa and grandma used to tell me stories about Swami. When I was born, at that time itself, I was told how Swami is avatar and how they learn things from him and how do they serve him when they go to Prashanti Mandir and even in Dharmashitra. So I used to question my grandma and grandparents because I was a child at that point, and I used to ask various kind of questions like these. I see all other pictures where we have gods, and we have this picture where you say he's also Swami. My grandma used to tell me like all other gods have shown their grace to the mankind, and people have seen them. And this is the avatar that we have in front of us, and he has shown his grace to us. So that is the statement I still remember from my grandma when she said that. And then I used to ask her, like, how do you know that he's Swami? I used to be a child at that time. So my grandma used to say that my grandfather was a civil engineer and he was working for railways. So at that time, he used to have like a job where he used to be posted in different parts of the country. So they were staying in Chennai, they were staying in Trichy, then they moved to Orissa, then they finally came to Bombay. That's how their journey was. So in Chennai, they were going to Sundaram and they heard a lot of experiences from other devotees and other Sai family. And when they went to Orissa, like that's when the disconnect happened for my grandparents. And at that time, my grandma was kind of sad because she wanted some Swami presence and she wanted some Sai family around her. And one day, someone came by in the market and she saw, I think, a ring that she had, which was Swami's photo was there. And that family asked, like, are you Swami devotee? And my grandma was like, yes, we are Swami devotees. But unfortunately, I cannot find anyone here who I can connect with and do bhajans and stuff. They were shocked. Like, they were like, oh, we are also Swami devotees. We have bhajans everywhere here every Thursday. That's what she is. We do Shri Sai bhajans and then obviously Parthi Sai bhajans also. Then luckily when they asked about the address, it was the next street. And she was shocked, like, okay, they were new to this place. They didn't know uh, the language, they didn't know people around. And then she started going there. And that's when Swami's presence was shown. So we had a lot of miracles where we saw in our house, in my grandparents' house, where flower came out of the pitcher, vibhuti started coming, and that's where my grandparents have the presence of Swami, and it grew bounds. So they were started to go to Parthi because they were close to Parthi. A lot of service. They got the Pada Namaskar. They had numerous interview opportunities where they could talk to Swami. And that time Swami was easily available. It was not like when we were growing up, it was difficult to get hold of him. And when I was born, I think at the age of 4, my grandpa just took me and just put me in Bal Vikas. I had no clue what was going on. I still remember the first day. I was quiet, I was crying, and my teachers were kind enough to like tell me stories about Swami. And because I was pre Bal Vikas, not even Bal Vikas at that point, so I was just sitting and I was listening to Group One when they were actually being taught and all the stories that they were told. And that's how I grew up in my Bal Vikas. So I completed my entire Bal Vikas in Mumbai. And 2004 or 2005, I think that's when Swami had he fell and he broke his hip and he had the surgery, I think. So that year was a year we practiced a lot and we were about to go for Guru Purnima celebrations, I think, for a drama. So the entire Dharma Kshetra, our Samiti also participated and we were going. So I was very sad. Like no one expected this, and the darshans were cut down at that point. Swami was not showing his presence. He was not giving darshan much as before. So my my teachers were like, okay, we are prepared. Everyone is going. Let's hope that Swami comes and shows his presence and gives us darshan. So till that moment, we sat, we prepared for our drama, we did the drama. And when while doing the drama, Swami came out and gave his darshan. No one expected that. And out of the blue, he comes, he gives his darshan. And then he calls everyone, he takes a group photo with us. And no one imagined that because everyone had the feeling that we will perform, we will keep him in prayers and then give our best drama to everyone that we had. And that was the turning point for me. Like, okay, if you have faith in him and you show that love, he responds. In whatever situation he is in, he takes that effort to come to us and makes everyone happy. So that that is still in my eyes. Like when he came out, he gave the darshan, and I was child. Still, I have that in my. I was in like probably sixth or seventh standard, I guess, at that moment. And after that, I finished my 10th standard, and this is where I'm going to talk about how we get disconnected from Swami, and I'll come back and tell how I connected back to him, or how he pulls rather me in. Uh, After my 10th standard, I usually went to my junior college, 11th and 12th. Things changed in my life. I started going less Sai Center. I used to go for Narayan Seva and stuff, but not for bhajans, not for uh, study circle or anything like that. So my interaction with Swami reduced eventually. And I came to bachelor's, I did my computer science. It reduced further because there was nothing related to the education as such, but it's just as a teenager, I was disconnected with Swami at that point. So my bachelor's got finished, and so at that point, my bachelor's was done. I was preparing for my GRE at that point, and I got a good score. I got admitted into this university, and that's when I was praying to Swami, like, Swami, this till then I had no interaction with Swami. Now the day comes where I have to go for visa. So as a normal kid or not a normal person, you pray to Swami and ask for things at that point. And that's when I asked him, like, Swami, I've done so much effort. This is the chance for me to go to US and further improve my career and do what I like. And I prayed to him, and I go for visa interview in Mumbai. The first question she asked is, which university you're going for? I said, this is the university. She was shocked. I was like, two questions. First question is, do you have any relatives? No. And second question was like, which university? Usually they do give the reason on why they don't give the reason. So I was very shocked. And people ahead me got the visas for F1, and behind me also got the visas. So I came crying that day, and I was very sad, and I was just sleeping and crying. And my grandma comes to me and says, come, wake up. Then she's like, why are you so sad? If that was something Swami wished and he doesn't want you to go out of India, then that's what it is. If you think you still have a chance, pray to him sincerely and then ask him whether it is the right thing to do or not. And if he wishes, you will get another chance, and then you'll go. So I pray to him, and then I talk to my Balvika's teachers about this. They also console me and stuff. And I look at the dates. So usually don't get a date very quickly. And to my surprise, I get a date in 2 weeks. And that was a Thursday. So Thursdays are very special for me. So I get a date and it is a Thursday, and then I book it. And that too, this time it's in Chennai. It's not in Mumbai. So I had to fly, go to Chennai to attend the interview. This is when I was thinking like, okay, maybe I was not talking to you, Swami, for a long time. And that's why this has happened. That thought was there behind me, because suddenly I'm in need of him, and suddenly I'm thinking of him. And for so many years, there was a disconnect for 5 years. And then again, I want you in my life. But he does it so well. So I go to Chennai, I get onto the interview. The interviewer opens the counter, and I'm the first person to go in. I was already nervous, and I was the first person she called me into the counter. So I just get up and I go to that counter. And she's an Asian woman. So she was like, pass on the documents. I just passed all the documents that I had in my hand. She waits for a minute or so, and then she says, your visa is approved. There was no questions asked this time. And then I look at on the side, there was Swami photo that she had. Then I was about to ask her, then I said, he's also my guru. And she's like, yes, he's also my guru. I was like, oh my goodness, this is you. If you were not here, without asking, there is no way I'm getting a visa. And that was second chance. And that's when my again connection to Swami grew, and then from there I came to masters. I attended so many bhajans in the DC Sai Center, and from there I went to Kansas City, where there was a small center, but I attended the bhajans, grew up with all the people around me, and I was a service coordinator as well there, did a lot of service, and then I'm in Dallas. So this was the first part of journey where you see a disconnect and then you want Swami back, but he gives that to you with such a good experience that your uh, faith in him is tenfolds at that time. Now in US, uh, again, when I was in Kansas City, I was going for bhajans and stuff, but I was going through this immigration issue where if your visa is not picked, there's a lottery system for H1B. Then you have to go back to India. So that's how things were. Uh, the first 3 years, every time my company applied, I did not get it. The next year is the last year where I had to, so I did not get that. So I was praying to Swami, like, what could be the reason I'm not getting? And I also prayed to him that if this is it, then I can go back to India and then I can continue with my work there in India rather than stay here. But to my surprise, my director calls me and tells me that, hey, why don't you do another master's? You can do a master's, we will pay for it, and then you can work with us. That was the first miracle. And I didn't expect that. So I did my second master's. Still, I did not get my visa on fourth year because the masters are for 2 years. And then fifth year was the last year where I had to apply. They applied, and then my master's was about to end. And that time I prayed to Swami that everything, the lottery starts around like July or August time, I think, and they announce the results around that time frame. So they did the lottery. Some of my friends got the visas, and they were like, "We already got the email from the immigration team that their visas are picked." So I was here tensed. I was like, "Swami, this is my last year. You know that I'm already doing a master's right now, and I don't think they will allow me to continue this." Then I pray to him, and I'm very nervous. So the next day morning, I start my car as usual, going to work, and I was praying to Swami like, hopefully today I will get the news or something. And then I see a car like, be patient, have faith. That was the message on the car. And when I saw that, the first thing I remembered is like, okay, let's stay patient and have faith in Swami. And the day I go there, that day I get an email from my immigration team that my visa is picked. So this was such a miracle that I was ready to go back, but at the same time I was nervous, and I prayed to Swami that what will happen now, and he shows his presence with a message, and then assures that message with an email from the immigration team on the same day that I got the visa picked. And that is where I felt like we should not be like I was that day, the day of, I have a calendar where I see daily quotes, and that quote was like on that particular day was, why fear when I am here? That was a day, like quote. So first thing I saw that, and then I saw this message, and then this happened to me. So all these three episodes on that particular day were so good that days I still cherish, and then my again faith in him grows much uh, stronger. Um, in Kansas City, I think last year 2020, uh, I had I had an incident in my family where my grandmother passed away. So I was very sad. Like at that time, this COVID is things were going on. We weren't sure on how to go to India, what is the procedure and stuff. Um, at that moment, I just prayed to Swami. I cried a lot, and I asked him to guide me through and stay with me throughout the journey till I reached India. Because I was shocked what happened. I didn't expect. I knew that she was in hospital and stuff, but I thought she would recover. Um, And then I was not sure on what to do, like how many COVID tests I had to take, the 72 hours of rule to go to India and stuff. So I did 3 COVID tests in one day, got the results negative, and then I was packing the bag. And the one thing which thought I had is, Swami, be with me. I need you more than ever at this moment. Um, so I take the first flight from Kansas City to Newark. At that moment when I was taking the flight, I was like, Swami, please be next to me. That's what my thought was. So I board onto the flight. I go to my seat, I sit, and I wait till the flight is they start the flight and it's about to fly. I don't see anyone next to me. That was the first thing. Second, once I landed in Newark, I had a flight connecting to Mumbai directly. After that, the second flight, I sit, there were people next to me. So I was a little sad. I was like, I was thinking, still thinking that, Swami, I wanted you next to me. Then a gentleman comes to me and asks me, hey, this is my family. Can you go and change the seat and go there in front? So I go into the front and sit there. I see no one next to me at that point. So I was like so happy that, okay, Swami, you're there with me taking. So I consoled myself that he's there with me throughout these tough times that I'm going through. And the same thing happened when coming back to US. Both the flights, there were no one next to me. He made sure that he was with me till the time I reached to India. I do all the uh, rituals and stuff that my grandma wanted for her to do. And he made sure that he's with me and brings me back with the same confidence to US back. This incident was so much needed for me so that I can be strong and I can have faith in him. And grandma was something very close to me, and she was always the reason why I'm into Swami's fold. Um, and when I was coming back, I was thinking, and then when I had the last flight and there was no one next to me, I was assured that she reached Swami and he took her. So that's the message I got in, and I was so happy that, okay, you are with Swami, and now I can be in peace. That's the feeling I had. Um, the last two incidents before I close, I would like to talk about how he assures us that he is there in some subtle ways. When I finished my master's, I was in search of a vegetarian roommate, and I posted in Facebook at that point that I will be joining this company and I'm willing to share apartment and I'm looking for a vegetarian roommate. At that point, I one of the person who replied to that was, his name was Sai Prasanna, and I didn't realize, like looking at the name, I just saw Shady Sai's photo and I thought maybe it's Shady Sai devotee at that point. And then I'm like, okay, fine. You are a vegetarian, I'm a vegetarian, and then let's move into this place. So I move in. The first day he picks me up from the airport. I come in, I set up my altar. I set up the altar and then I go and take shower and come out. The first question he's asking me is like, are you Satya Sai devotee? I'm like, yes, I'm Satya Sai devotee. How did you know that? I was like, I just saw his photo in your altar. I was like, yes. Are you Swami devotee? I asked him. He said, yes, I'm Swami devotee. That was like, wow. It was like completely unplanned. I was not expecting that, like to meet a Swami devotee, and also the other things which I wanted, obviously a vegetarian roommate. And in Kansas City, I did not know anyone. And he is the sole reason he pulled me into so many, because he was already there and he pulled me into the various activities that center was doing. And then that's my journey again with Kansas City Center started. Uh, the last incident I want to end with is like, as as everyone knows, like we go through a phase where we try to find our life partner through matrimonies and stuff. I was also going through the same phase, and I had a feeling always that I want my wife to be in Swami fold. That's the feeling I had. And it was there, and I used to talk to Swami about this a lot, and how it will help me and help her and both of us together to continue this journey with him. And there were so many matches which I thought I did not like for some reason. And but the main sole reason I always had was like, Swami, please show someone that she knows you and she's already doing your work. That was always there in my back of mind. So I talked to this girl recently. This has been like 2 months back, and then we talked to each other. And then she asked me like, "What are the musical instruments or interests that you have?" I tell her that I play tambourine, so I'm a kanjira player. So I didn't say kanjira at that point. I just said tambourine, and she's like, "Tambourine is the one that has jingles around it." Yeah. So is it kanjira? She asked. I said yes, it's kanjira. And then she's like, "Are you Swami devotee?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm Swami devotee." And then I asked her, like, there was no mention about that in your profile. And in my profile, I did not even mention it. And I come to know about her. She's a Sundaram singer. She's been in Balvikas. She has done all Swami activities, and she's still doing service, etc. in India. And that's how I connected with her. And then she's going to be my fiance soon. So this incident again assures that he's still in my life. He's the person who is actually showing what needs to be done, guiding me throughout the task and everything, day in and day out. And we are just the instruments. That's the code I would like to end with. Saira.
Congrats, brother, by the way.
Thank you.
But what beautiful story, man. And you were saying that you didn't have experiences. Oh God, it's your life is full of, Sai incidences, man. It's just
Yeah.
amazing what, which when I just hearing and listening to you and then Sister Parvathy and stuff, I realize how special and lucky we are as a region. I just feel the kind of YAs that are coming in in the recent past, and the YAs and the current crop of YAs that we have. It's just mind blowing what sort of people we have, dude. And you're another exemplary example of that, in how much love and how much faith. Faith, they say, is like what FAITH. I think Ravi uncle would always say, forwarding all inquiries to him. That's what FAITH is. And you seem to have done that. Even though you think you've forgotten Swami at certain points, or you think you've moved away, Swami's always found a way to pull you in, and you've always been near and dear to Swami, and I think it's one thing to aspire for him, but it's when he more than reciprocates by pulling you even when you sometimes feel you don't deserve it. That's what fills even my heart at times. What have I done to deserve it? That fills you with so much of gratitude to Bhagwan, right? And I can see that gratitude in you, and I can see how much love you have. And when you have such faith, then any sort of fear, what is fear when I think of it? FEAR, false evidence appearing real. And it's very compelling, this false evidence which appears real in the form of fear. But when you have true faith, like all of you guys seem to have, that fear, even though it appears very real and is real many a times to us, is in a flash of a moment, by Bhagwan's grace, completely obliterated. And then you almost sit back and wonder, why did I fear so much when he's always there? I'm basking in his arms and in his shadow. Why do I need to fear? I think beautiful, man. Just the kind of experiences that you guys have, life experiences. That's what the beauty of my Sai and I is. There's no one template. There's no one, here I'll come and narrate Sai miracles. No, I mean, you have, last time we just had Arvind talk about relationships and how through that he follows Swami's message. You have Poonam, incidentally, the next speaker's sister, Komal's sister, who brought about a very different perspective. So each of these my Sai and I sessions and each of these YAs bring in their unique flavors. And that's what's so enjoyable about it. It's very chilled out, laid back kind of setting in which we have this wonderful exchange of Sai incidences in our life, and so many learnings and teachings. Oftentimes, sometimes when one feels that, hey, I didn't have that pada namaskar, or I didn't have that one-on-one meeting with Swami, the personal interview and stuff of that sort. I feel Swami comes through people like you and everyone else and gives us those interviews and those learnings and teachings that we've been yearning for. Because there's so much for me as well that I resonate with what you have kind of spoken about, that I feel like it's Swami telling me, listen to what I have to say and and I'm certainly so glad that I have the opportunity to listen to someone like you, and Swami is talking through you, brother. So it's just a joy. And as ever, if someone else has any thoughts and questions, feel free to lay it out before we move on to Sister Komal.
I think if anybody is not there, let me try to. Jagannath, I think although you might be the Lord of the universe, I'm so happy that you went around the world and landed in Dallas. And of course, you landed in Region 10. So it's a perfect 10 for us. And I think you went ahead and said your grandpa was a civil engineer. And I think he's not only civilized, but he put you in the path to Swami. And the one thing that I felt Swami had shown his grace, but I think you also turned around to receive that grace. And that's a very, very important factor. Every experience that you had, we could all connect. You did have a worldly education, getting all the A's, but I say that you got an F in spirituality. There is faith. And that's through the faith. And although you said you went alone in your flight back to India, and every other seat was empty, I can vouch that Swami was there. He is invisible, but he was there. And I could go further because of your faith. You had a Sai roommate.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you had an icing on the cake by saying you will be having a Sai fiance, wife, right? Yeah. That puts an end to it. And also the one thing that you said was, what was the word that you said? You said when you were looking for the visa, there was a thing that you said, be patient and what?
Be patient and have faith.
Yeah, so you had the faith, and that the key thing is the patient is what I would like to describe this way. Patient is not just waiting, but the right attitude when you wait. And that's what the hallmark of your waiting is. And I don't have anything else to say, but as to second what Sriram said, every experience that you all bring, all I would get is we all have to connect to Swami in the daily experience we are facing. And that connection is what that we have to open our channel to look at for Swami. It's not that Swami is going to come. Swami is there every step of the way, but I think you wonderfully put every step of the way that you take, you also connect to Swami by thinking about him and having full faith. And I think once again, a heartfelt thanks for being in our session. Sai.
Thank you, Sai.
Anybody else? If not, feel free to butt in or and speak up if you guys have any thoughts or questions. If not, we'll kind of move on to Sister Komal, who's waiting in the wings, and I'm kind of excited to hear her journey as well.
Hey, Saira, I feel like that's high praise. Thank you. I hope it's an interesting discussion. But for those of you who don't know me, my name is Komal, and I'm currently at the Houston Center. I actually became part of Swami's fold when I was like 5 or 6. Group going all the way through Balvika's group 4, and here I am now a YA. And I've been very, very lucky throughout my entire Sai experience and my Sai life, because I've actually had the opportunity to be a member at all 3 of the major centers here in Region 10. So, grew up in Dallas, did all my Balvikas in Dallas, and then started my YA journey in Austin when I was at UT for school. And then now that I'm working in Houston, I'm part of the Houston community. So I consider myself very, very blessed. You know, and I know someone had mentioned just how blessed Region 10 is with the caliber of YAs that we have here, and just the wealth of experience that we have with the YAs here. And every time we have any sort of YA related event, I always leave the discussion just totally mind blown by what people have to say and what people have experienced, and just these amazing little nuggets of wisdom where I'm like, I need to incorporate that into my own life. But I guess talking about my side journey, I kind of wanted to break it down into three major, I guess, points in my life, three major sections of my life. I don't know whatever you want to call it. And I kind of wanted to address it as the first part, how Swami has impacted my life from a, I guess, outer perspective. So things like job, career, so on and so forth. So how Swami has kind of impacted my life there. And then I also want to talk about how Swami has transformed me internally, and then how Swami has transformed the way that I view the outside world. So I guess to get started, like I had mentioned, I went to UT for school, and it's college is always an interesting time. You know, there's a lot of changes. You're changing locations, you're meeting new people, the way you learn is different, the things you do are different, and it can be very exciting, but it can also be very overwhelming. And you know, it's for me in my first year of school, it was really trying to learn that balance. And one of the big changes that I kind of went through my first year was deciding to change majors. So I went into school as an electrical engineering major, took some classes. It just wasn't my cup of tea. And then I decided, hey, I want to switch to business. Now, for those of you who don't know, switching into UT's business school, it's called McCombs. Switching into McCombs is not easy. And I knew going into this, I was like, okay, this is not going to be easy. I'm going to have to put some work in, but I think I've got this. You know, and on top of that, I was a little bit cocky, and I knew, I was like, I did well in high school. I mean, I did academically, I did well in high school. So you know, the habits that I have, the way I study, the things that I do, it should be fine. I've got this, all is well. So go through the school year, you know, pass all my classes. And at the end of the school year, it came the time for me to figure out, okay, you know, I've applied to switch majors, I've applied to McCombs. Did I do it? You know, and so the day comes where I get my results and I open the envelope and it's a no. I got rejected. Didn't get in, was super devastated. I was very disappointed. I was very upset. And I think that's when, like, looking back now, I'm like, maybe that was really just Swami's voice. But there was this little part of me that was like, that wasn't surprised that I didn't get in, because that little voice said, you know, you didn't work as hard as you could have. You know, you didn't put in as much effort as you could have. And the fact of the matter is, I knew that little voice was right, which made this whole situation at first even more disappointing, because I was like, clearly something inside me knew I wasn't doing enough. And that's also when I realized how badly I wanted to get into this school, because the alternative was to, you know, try again. And if I didn't make it, come home and, you know, go to the business school in Dallas. And so when I approached my second year of college, my two options were work hard to get into McCombs or work harder to get into McCombs. Those were my two options. There was no way that I was going to entertain an alternative. And so, to be honest, I think out of a mix of determination and maybe even a little spite, because I wanted to prove that I could do it, I worked my butt off that second year. I reprioritized what I wanted to do. I was strategic about my classes. I learned a lot about time management. If I have classes and I know I have classes and I know I have homework, but if I have a test the next day, if I need to stay up till 2 a.m. to study for it, I'm going to do it, even if that test is at 9 a.m. because I just wouldn't entertain anything else other than I'm getting into McCombs. And it was a huge lifestyle shift for me, because for me, the way that I had been kind of going about life was very chill, very easy breezy, like, oh, I put in some work and I did my best and that was just good enough. This totally challenged that. It was a situation where I was like, okay, I have to break old habits, create new habits, create healthy habits, and make sure that they stick, which I know all of us can understand how difficult that might be. The end of sophomore year came around and I applied again. And when I opened the letter, I was like, Swami, you know what? I've done the best that I can. I have changed so much in this past year. Whatever happens, I know it's going to be what you want it to be and what it needs to be. And I opened the letter and I had gotten into the school. So I had gotten into business school and I was so excited. And the first thing that I did, I'm pretty sure the first thing I did was I just knelt at Swami's altar. So we have an altar at my parents' house, and I just sat there and I knelt and I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe this has just happened. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I was so grateful because I knew none of this would have happened without Swami. He was the one who gave me the opportunity to try again. He said, I want you to apply your first year to understand what you need to be successful. And then you get another shot your second year. So he gave me the opportunity to try again, to learn again. He gave me a lesson in humility, which I think is probably I want to say it's the biggest takeaway from this whole situation, is that lesson in humility, because without it, I know for a fact I wouldn't be where I am today. I'd still be a little bit cocky and say, oh, that's good enough. I can study the night before and be fine. But no, I needed that lesson in humility. And it was just a massive opportunity to try again. And I know now looking back that if I hadn't hit that quote unquote rock bottom, when it came to my school career, I wouldn't have been able to accomplish what I've accomplished today. And the best part about it is every step of the way, even if I didn't recognize it in the moment, looking back, every step of the way, I was like, wow, Swami, you were there. You put me on the bicycle and you let me tremble a little bit. And when I needed you, you would hold the bike so I could be steady. But when I didn't, when I kind of got a handle of what I needed to do, and when I got into the rhythm, you let go and you just walked beside me. You gave me that flexibility to hold on to you when I needed you, or maybe when I didn't realize I needed you, but you also gave me the flexibility to say, I know Swami's right next to me and I'm going to give this a shot. And it's funny. I feel like that little voice in my head that was saying, you know exactly what you needed to do. That inner voice, I mean, that's really just Swami talking through you, right? So, it was just a massive lesson on so many levels. And it taught me to have, faith in my ability. It taught me to have faith in the plan, faith in the fact that Swami does what he needs to for a reason. And he is always there to support you. He is the one person or being who is consistently, on your core. Like, he is the one who will always play for you. And And that was just a really big lesson. And so that's kind of the big experience, that was actually a huge pivotal moment in my life that actually very much changed, I think, the way that I approach things in life as a whole. So it was a very pivotal turning point in my life, not just in school, but just for Komal as a person. It was a big turning point. And so I guess kind of moving on, bear with me. I wrote some things down so I would remember to mention them. But moving to, I guess, the more inner self, you know, Swami stresses a lot the importance of nurturing your inner self, taking care of your inner self, listening to your inner self, because at the end of the day, that's the God within you. That's that higher consciousness that's communicating with you and, you know, asking you, hey, you know, I think I know what's good for you. I know what you need. Even if you don't want it, I know what you need. And last year, as we all know, there was a pandemic. There is currently still a pandemic. But a recent, or I guess a new internal struggle that I faced during this pandemic was anxiety. I have never felt anxiety to the extent that which I felt it last year. I mean, it was so heavy. It was like I could feel it. It was like wearing a weighted jacket. And it was debilitating at times. It was, you know, I had anxiety about everything. Oh, you know, mom and dad are going out. They need to be careful. Or, you know, I don't even want to do takeout food. I'm nervous. Or just all these things that I didn't need to be anxious about, but the anxiety really took over. And not only, you know, not only was it very debilitating from the perspective of I'm too scared to do anything, but it made me emotional in a negative way. It helped, or not it helped, it allowed the weeds of negativity to really take off. You know, everything felt kind of bleak. I found myself languishing all the time. And eventually that impacts that impacts everyone around you. So it impacted my family. You know, they were always worried about me. They were constantly trying to figure out, okay, how can we help you? How can we help you? And I didn't know what to tell them because I didn't know. And I ended up finding that guidance through Swami, who planted these little seeds of, this might help you. This might be good. Let's Google this. Let's see what this says. I mean, it was insane how Swami just kind of guided me. It would be like, I'd be reading a newsletter and there would be an article specifically dedicated to, you know, COVID-19 anxiety. And just articles like that, or articles that are saying it's okay to not be okay right now. I mean, at least 2 or 3 times a week, I would see those articles pop up in my newsletters. And I was like, there is no way that this can be anything other than Swami trying to talk to me, trying to tell me, hey, here are some resources, go explore them. And so I did. Swami directed me towards people who could help. Swami gave me the strength. I mean, the biggest thing was he gave me the strength to even ask for help, which for some, you know, for some of us, that in and of itself is the hardest step in the process, is even saying, I need help. I need help. I don't know what to do. But Swami gave me the strength to do that. He gave me the strength to ask for help, to find someone who could help me with, you know, my anxiety, my intrusive thoughts, my negativity. And here I am today, a year and a half later, and it's still an ongoing journey. It is, but I know I'm in a much stronger place now. You know, even last week, for example, I found myself in a situation where my anxiety was definitely elevated. And Swami was kind of like, hey, have you called your mom lately? It was just a random thought that popped in my head. And so I said, I haven't. So I gave her a call and she gave me the advice I needed to calm down, to let the anxiety dissipate. And I just turned to Swami's picture next to my desk, and I was like, it's crazy how you're able to help all of us every moment we need you, and you give us exactly what you need. It's just it was what I needed to hear. It was exactly what I needed. And part of that, I think, for part of this journey with my inner self, Swami is playing a much more important role. And I realized over the course of this past year and a half with pandemic, how much I actually rely on Swami and bhajans and things like that for my own personal mental health, my emotional health, my wellness. I didn't realize how difficult it was for me to not attend bhajans every week. I didn't realize how much that was a reset for me. I tend to connect to Swami a lot via music, and so bhajans, that was my reset. That was my, okay, we're gonna wash everything out. We're gonna start the week fresh, and we're okay. We can do this. And so now that I have that understanding, I turn to Swami a lot when I'm, when I maybe didn't used to before. And I just sit there and I'm like, okay, Swami, here's exactly what I'm feeling. Not that you needed to know because you already know, but I need to verbalize it myself. And talking it out with him helps a lot, because it's a conversation. Obviously, it's a conversation that happens in my mind, but just getting that bounce back and saying something out loud instead of just thinking it makes it more like a real conversation, which allows for a lot of back and forth. So that's been very helpful. Attending the weekly bhajan satsangs that we do online, I've started to do that a little bit more frequently, which has really helped me as well. And so has reading spiritual literature, not necessarily specifically Swami books, but I've been reading a few books on Ayurveda and that understanding of mind, body, soul. And it's interesting to see how the two tie together so beautifully. And so that's how I've really seen Swami kind of come in from a place where I was very disconnected. And I know I was very disconnected over the past year and a half, because that's part of the reason why my anxiety was so bad. Because I could see that, maybe that coming from a place where I had zero mind connection to now being in a place where I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm slowly making progress back to you. I think that's been a very rewarding experience. It's been a hard experience, but it's been a very rewarding experience. And I guess my final, the final thing is how Swami has kind of shaped the way I view the world. And when I came to Houston, Swami Seva called JDC Seva, and it stands for Juvenile Detention Center. And basically what we do here at this Seva is we come up with these lesson plans and workshops for juvenile students between the ages of 13 and 17. And all of these lessons are geared towards life skills and human values. So we could talk about things from anger management and bullying to, what is a resume? What is a budget? How do I look for a job? How do I apply to college? And so when I was first approached about doing this Seva, at first I got really excited because I was like, oh, this is so different. This is a very unique Seva. And then I got really nervous and a little bit scared because when I was first approached about this, I was like, what can I offer these kids? I don't have a lot of experience. I am still, I'm still pretty young. I can't really, can I connect to these kids? Are they going to, are they going to misbehave? Like, are they going to do this? Are they going to do that? And I fell into the trap of thinking about a lot of the stigmas that are associated with kids who are part of the juvenile system. But for some reason, I couldn't shake the feeling that I needed to apply, or not apply, but I needed to send in my information for the background check to get the process started to become a part of the Seva. I couldn't shake the feeling that I needed to do this. So I did. And when I started actually attending the sessions, it opened my eyes in a very beautiful way. I mean, my view of these kids changed from the first session. They were, yes, they're kids. There are going to be times where you do have to put your foot down every once in a while and say, hey guys, that's enough. But I mean, these kids are incredible. They're brilliant. They're so empathetic. They have such beautiful souls. They are really looking to, they're really looking to enter the world with this idea of, I can do anything, I can be anything, I want to be anything and everything I can be. And just, there are times when I know they it's not that they lose hope, but they kind of feel, I guess, down in the dumps, for lack of better words. But I also know that these kids, they want to succeed. They want to just enter the world and take it for what it is and make the most of it. And it's, they just have this deeper and more attuned understanding of life and the world in a way that I don't have, in a way that a lot of adults that I know don't even have. And so it was such a huge wake-up call, in the sense that it was a lesson of that constant reminder of, you cannot judge a book by its cover. You can't. Everyone's different, but everyone has something beautiful to offer. And B, just because something might scare you doesn't mean that it's bad for you. Oftentimes the things that scare you are the things that are actually going to be very good for you. And I can say I have learned so much from these kids. I probably take more away from the sessions than maybe they take away from mine, because they just have so much to teach without even realizing it. And so, Swami, he gave me the chance. He helped me learn how to expand my mind and to expand my heart beyond anything that I had ever been challenged to do before, because this was my first time working with kids who have been in the juvenile system. And so it has been the most rewarding service project I've ever been a part of. And there will never be enough ways that I can show Swami how grateful I am for the opportunity to do this. This is one of the, it's funny, I actually read something today about how when you're looking to volunteer, or when you're looking for a cause, think about what you care about a lot and then choose something different, because that is how you really get involved, and that's how you really learn, and that's how you actually figure out, how can I make a difference? Because a lot of times the things that you're super passionate about, so are thousands of other people. So if you find something different, chances are you can actually make more of an impact than you realize. And that's exactly what happened with this project. Working with kids was never something that I had thought about. Having that slight education aspect, never something that I had thought about. But Swami made it happen, so that I was so focused on a specific cause. And then he put this in my lap, completely shifted my focus. And now I found something that A, I'm ridiculously passionate about, but B, something where I can make a difference. And I can make a tangible difference in a way that I may not have done if I had, focused my time and effort on things like climate change, maybe, or I don't know, even feeding the hungry. I know that's something that a lot of organizations do, but working with these kids, not something you see very often. And so I've been a part of this Seva project for 2 years now, and I have no intentions of stopping anytime soon. So to that, I have to say, Swami, I'm so grateful that you were able to just show me something new, show me something different, and open my mind and beyond, the stereotypes and stigmas that people have. So that's kind of, those are just 3 examples of how Swami's really made a difference in my life over the past few years. Actually, all of this has happened post Balvika. So, it's just, I'm eternally grateful for that. And thanks for listening to me talk. I haven't talked this much in a while, so.
No, this is amazing. Yeah, I was hoping you would touch upon the JDC, and it's amazing how you've consistently brought back the theme that almost Sister Parvathy began with, which is you have the ability, somehow you do all the 3 elements of gratitude to Swami pretty well, which is recognize even some weird thought in your head. To Google something, you says Swami's planting that thought. So you're recognizing Swami's presence, and you're remembering Swami. And even when you forget, you realize, oh my God, I got to find my connection back to Swami. It seems like Brother Jagannath was again able to do that. And that remembrance aspect again comes into play. And just like Sister Parvathy, who's working now with the kids in Meridian, you seem to be working with juveniles and just making such a big impact, and in one sense reciprocating that gratitude which you have for Bhagwan and sharing it with others, and just making the Sai organization proud in the sense that you actually truly make an impact through this program, which is a very unique program in our region, I think. So, I'm really, really grateful, Komal. You're someone I think I've enjoyed your thought processes. I've heard you talk, and I enjoy who you are as a person. So, to be able to listen to you and your journey, I think I'm pretty happy that you just chose this moment in time and came out here and shared your journey. Thank you so much. So, I know we're slightly past 7:30, but if someone has a couple of thoughts before we wrap it up, feel free to go ahead.
I couldn't lose this opportunity to thank Komal. I think this is Ravi Uncle Komal. The key thing I felt was you gave me a shock. You know what the shock is? Because you wanted to pursue electrical engineering. But then I'm very happy you landed in business. I think the key thing that I felt was once you got the admission, you said, you know what you said? I knelt. And I felt when you kneel down to Swami, you can stand up for anything. That's the way I looked at it. The most important thing, you had gone through ups and downs, but your faith, willpower, and determination is what that was the hallmark. And I remember there are 2 words that we always use: the END, end, and no. Oh, this is the end of it. I cannot do it. But you reversed it by using the word end, means effort never dies. No, I cannot do it. You said next opportunity is there. I would like to pursue. And I think those are the 2 key things. And I would definitely, and then you went ahead and said, I want to see Swami inside, like you, SAI is what I would say. So and then the first thing you did when you got into a situation, looking inside, he prompted you to call your mom. That's what you did at one point. And of course, I had known Komal being so passionate about JDC. I was very, very happy you talked about it. And the one key thing that I would say is, if you can change the way you look at things, then the things you look at changes. And that's exactly what you did. And for all of us, this is one thing that I read from somewhere. We all have a lot of friends in Facebook, but the only friend is Swami who can read your face as a book. So let us all hold to Swami. Sairam.
Ravi Uncle. And when I hear to all of these 3 speakers, you can see that all of you guys have married the twins that Swami says. Swami says determination and patience are the twins, and one can't exist without the other. So it almost seems like all 3 of you have had your moments of what quote unquote despair, but you have been determined to stay through it and will through it, by yearning for that connection with Swami and having the patience that Swami will make his presence felt. Delay doesn't mean denial in any sense. And I see that as well, that determination as well as that patience, and those twin factors playing in all your three journeys. So that again is something that I remind myself as I take away from this session. Any final thoughts here? I think we're 5 minutes past time. So if anyone has anything to say, feel free to weigh in. If not, we will close.
You definitely really made us all get filled with tears with your thought-provoking speech, Sister Komal. And the part that I loved the most was when you again said there were moments when Swami again and again came back and redirected us to prove that he's always there, and how you internalize that connection. And another thing that struck me was just this week, our school had so many meetings about DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, to be brought into the class. And I had the thoughts that this is nothing but Swami's values. This is nothing but harmonizing Swami's values in a school system. And that particular day, I took an Uber home, and the one who drove me was the associate director of the Texas-based model who works in the Texas juvenile system. And he was talking to me about TBRI, trust-based relational intervention. And then just yesterday, I passed on his contact to my school principal, asking them to invite you all to come and do a training in our school for adults and staff, for staff and students, for nothing but bringing in values into the school system. And this is just a small world. When you spoke about your association in the juvenile, working and doing service with the children from the juvenile system, it was again making me just speechless. Thank you.
That's just another example of how Swami works, right? I mean, what are the odds of that happening? So thank you for sharing that. Wow, that's crazy.
Anybody else? Yeah, I mean, that's what makes me realize that even you can't even attend a My Sai and I session unless Swami wants you to. And each of these sessions, just enrich you in such unbelievable ways. It's amazing how Swami pulls you in and makes it happen in each one of our lives. It's just incredible. When we listen to all these stories, we're just empowered, for sure. Anybody else? If not, I think thank you so much once again, Komal. It's been a joy and a complete joy with respect to hearing the other two speakers as well. It was just as ever. These sessions are always amazing. It's a given, and this was yet another amazing session. Thank you so much. And Komal, you began it. Do you want to end it with Om and Three Shantis?
Sure, be happy to. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Saram, everyone.
Thank you all, Saram.
Saram, everyone.